do what thou wilt. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of my series 7 Minutes with themagus, featuring your host, Omega Logion, the magus of the Eon of Maat. This episode is going to begin a 3-part series about the last and most important of my channeled holy books, which is called Liber MA vel Laudum, or the Book of the Lauds. In November 2022, I was on a greater magical retirement in Nambe, New Mexico. You may remember that from when I talked about Liber Graduum. Well, the experiences were so intense that I actually interwove the channeling of Liber Graduum with the channeling of Liber MA. I was out in the Badlands, and I was instructed by my holy guardian angel to meditate on this word Amn, which is in the Book of the Law. It's the only non-English word in the book other than thelema. And Crowley even underlined it in manuscript to remind himself that he was not misspelling it. It was the letters A-M-N, which are transliterated Aleph Mem Nun, which is the Hebrew word Amen, or Amen. Well, after meditating on this and chanting this word repeatedly, I got back to the casita, and Amiens started dictating Liber MA, which begins like this. The realization of Maut, the exhaling of the majesty of heaven. Every star and every planet is a whole. Every beauty is permanent. There is one immanence. Now, if you're familiar with the Book of the Law, that should sound very familiar to you as well, because it is a syllable by syllable update of the Book of the Law. Now, remember, the Book of the Law was the outgrowth of the Cairo working, which Crowley undertook in 1904, which basically began when he and his wife Rose discovered the burial stele of a priest named Ankefna Khonsu, who was a priest of the 26th dynasty in Thebes. He was a priest of Montu, or Month, who was the war god. But among his many other titles was doorkeeper of the temple of Amun. Of course, he was very familiar with Amun because Amun was the ruler of the royal city of Thebes. Amun, or Amun-Ra, was the king of the gods, and Thebes was the royal city. And the Theban triad was simply Amun, his consort Maut, whose name means mother, and their son, Khonsu, the god of the moon, part of whom forms the name Ankefna Khonsu. So that Theban priest would have been very, very familiar with the Theban triad. In fact, they were the ruling deities of Thebes. And just as he instigated the beginnings of the 93 current and the message of the Eon of Horus in 1904, so now we evolve that message in the Eon of Maat in 2022. The Book of the Lauds is a syllable by syllable transmutation of the Book of the Law. The law is not being superseded. Do what thou wilt is still the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. I say it at the beginning and end of every episode because it's still true. The update goes something like this. Instead of the word of the law is thelema, you have the word of the lauds is emunah, a Hebrew word which is usually translated as faith, but it really means a lot more than that. It means the way you carry yourself in your faith in God. And instead of do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, we have speaking the truth shall be the force of the lauds. Speaking the truth is a really important focus of Liber MA. And the idea of truth appears again and again in the book, as one would expect in the Eon of Truth and Justice, as Frater Akkad announced, the Ma-Ion. So Liber MA is a 3-part book channeled through the voices of 3 gods who are the Theban triad. And here's a little secret. the Theban triad is the actual AA. The Argentum Astrum is in fact Maut, whose name means mother, and Amun, whose name means concealed, and Khansu, whose name means traveler, god of the moon. It is in fact the AA who is sending this message to humanity. This updating of the Book of the Law, this evolution of the current of energy that first erupted in Cairo in 1904 is contained in Liber MA Vel Laudum. Now, the naysayers and the critics are going to say, well, all you did was change a few of the words in the Book of the Law. Yes, that's exactly the point. Liber MA has precisely 7,667 syllables. This syllabic mimesis is on purpose. It's precise. It uses rhymes and puns and plays on words to evolve the text of the Book of the Law. That number of syllables equals 11, which is the Libra trigram, symbol of Maat on the adjustment card, times 17, the Venus trigram, goddess of love and ruler of Libra, times 41, which are the letters Ma, Mem Aleph, which you can turn around to be Aleph Mem, which means mother. So it's a message of the mother goddess of love, Maat. It's all very precise. You can read a copy of it on my blog, omegalogion.com. I'll put a link in the comment section below. And I hope you'll join me for the next 2 episodes where we talk about the next 2 chapters of the book. I will leave you with this updated version of chapter 1, verse 57. I send you light from the stars, love in the lauds, love with the will.